Welcome to Who the Hell Am I? I hope somebody can tell me. This is a refreshingly authentic and unfiltered podcast, at least I think so, where we really delve into the essence of living authentically and rediscovering the simplicity of nourishment and holistic living. My name is Heather. I am a certified holistic health coach, and I love getting to the root of problems, illnesses, mindsets, you name it. I invite you to join me on a journey of unraveling, if you will, the complexities of modern health and wellness and mindset, where we liberate ourselves from the clutter of trendy diets, perplexing wellness regimes, and mostly all the societal pressures that dictate our lifestyles. In this podcast, I dare you to challenge the shoulds and the have-tos that have long defined conventional notions of health and identity. Hi guys, we are back for another episode of this series. This series has been going on for a bit, but that's because every time I think about ending it and starting another one, I just get more great conversations, so I just keep it going. So this series is called The Whole Leader, and the conversations are focusing on health and wellness and the role that that plays in being a successful business person, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an executive or an employee of a company, but the role that holistic health and wellness plays in that, and the conversations I've been having with all of the guests have been very diverse, from everything from nutrition to vocal health and getting in touch with your voice, and breath work, and absolutely every end of the spectrum. So it's been amazing. And I have another very special guest with me today. Her name is Erin Ward. Hi, Erin.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Before you and I get into our conversation, I will share a little bit about how our paths crossed almost a year ago. I think it was February of last year.
Yes.
Or February of this year, 2024. So for those of you who know, I'm a certified holistic health coach, and January of this year, I began formulating my luxury wellness retreats. And as I began the process of putting all of that together, I said, well, actually, what I did was I sat down on my website one day and I was like, okay, how am I going to put this on my website? And I just kind of looked at my website and I was like, oh gosh, this is so much work. I don't know where to start. So it was a lot of work, but it was also, I really want this to be done right. I want this, it was such a big, important vision for me. And I wanted to make sure that that was portrayed. And I was like, I think that I need to hire a web designer. And it was literally a thought that I had in passing. I remember the times. This was on a Sunday that I had that thought. And then on a Wednesday, that Wednesday, I was scrolling through social media and I happened to see a local tea and spice company that I follow. And they were promoting their new website, and they're like, check out our new website. And I clicked on the post, and of course, Erin had done their website and they tagged her, and I was like, oh, the copyright girl, I like her name.
Thanks.
I went to her website and researched about her, dropped an inquiry to her just saying, I saw that you do websites, here's what I do. And we literally had a coffee date set up for like a few days later. And we met for coffee and we ordered the same drink. So that to me was a sign.
And I remember, I'll forever remember that day where we sat and we had that first chai tea latte with almond milk.
Yes, yes, yes. My favorite.
And your energy was everything that I was looking for. And I hadn't even tried. I hadn't even tried to find you. I hadn't been researching web designers or anything. But what I remember is we talked for a while just about, I learned in that meeting that you shared my passion for holistic health and wellness, which was something I didn't know and didn't know that I actually even wanted in a website designer. But then when you shared that, it was like, oh, this is the right fit. And so I'm excited to have you here so we can just talk about your journey with health and wellness, also how you support other holistic practitioners through
Yeah.
your work. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What would you like the listeners to learn about you first and foremost?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm obviously first and foremost Erin Ward, but now I am the copyright girl. But my background is in education before I joined this other, I guess, passion of mine. I've always been into holistic health, though. So I was the teacher going to workshops on the weekends or asking for sick days off and getting permission to take wellness days instead of sick days to go to conferences because I just loved learning about first of all, the mind and your mindset, and then also just holistic health. And so it was really neat to be able to go to my principal and just say, hey, I'm healthy. Can I please use these days, to learn and grow? So that's kind of how I spent about 10 or 15 years of my life. And then I decided to branch out and I decided to work in marketing for a holistic health office because I thought, this is really cool. I can pair my love for holistic health, and I've always been very creative. So I got to do marketing for them. And after working for them for a while, I decided that it would be fun to do it on my own for a lot of different types of clients. So that's how the Copyright Girl came about. I've written books also in the past. And so when I was looking for other career paths, kind of the same thing like a kismet moment, I kind of put out an intention that I would find my next step, my next, like what I'm supposed to do. And literally that very next day, something popped up on social media that talked about copywriting. And it really clicked home with me about how much I love to use words. So it's really cool that I get to use words in a very powerful way for my career. But maybe we can also talk about words in our personal life and our self-talk as well. But anyways, that launched the Copyright Girl. And with that, I'm a very passionate person, meaning that like when I'm fueled and fired up, I will give 100% my all. So I knew when I went and did copywriting, it very quickly became very niche for me that I wanted to work with holistic practitioners. So now I work with chiropractors, health coaches, acupuncturists, and quantum nutritionists as well. And so that's kind of how everything ignited. So when you were doing your holistic wellness retreats, I was like, this is perfect because it falls all in alignment with, overall health and wellness.
I love that you have kind of found that niche for yourself where, and I remember you telling me when we met that you were very passionate about doing websites and marketing specifically for health practitioners. And I thought that was really cool that, you will give your services to other businesses and other people, but that's where your vision was. That's where your passion was drawing you. And um that was the first time I think that I realized that that was important to me to have in someone that I was hiring, whether it's a web designer, whether it's a business coach or whatever. There's so many people out there marketing their services and they're all great at what they do, but there's a whole other level that of commitment, I think, and just connection that you get when you as a holistic practitioner are working with someone and you hire someone who shares your vision. They share your passion. They believe in what you're already doing, but they also believe in the vision of where you see yourself going. And that's, for the listeners, if there's any holistic practitioners listening, that would be a word of advice, if you will, when you are hiring people, feel out if that's important to you. I can't tell you that it is, but it's important to me. And I learned that by accident, if you will, by crossing paths with Erin
Yeah, that's
and hiring
awesome.
her. So I just love that. So I know just from conversations that we've had in the past and what you just mentioned briefly, that mindset and law of attraction, those are really big components of your journey. Do you have any stories to share or any examples that you can share personally of how those have made a difference in your life?
Well, I definitely personally believe in what you focus on grows.
Mhm.
So in any given situation in life, we always have the choice of to focus on the positive or the negative. And, there have been times in my life with career changes or even work situations when you're working with other people that when you choose to focus on the nitpicky things, you're going to get more of that in your life. And so I have found that I try to be very mindful of what I allow to enter into my thought processes and things that I hold on to. And so, off the top of my head, nothing like one specific situation isn't fully coming to my mind, but I think it's important to know that like the one thing that we really have control in is what we think and what we say and what we do and what we allow to impact us. And so really being mindful of, is this a me thing? Is this something I need to go through and process? Or is this like we all walk different paths in life. And sometimes we just happen to be in somebody's path who they are going through their lesson and they're learning. And so we just might be in the way and that situation might not actually be about us. It might be about them. And
Mm.
so, I guess with the law of attraction, it's just, again, just being very mindful of if I take on their baggage, that might not be mine to hold on to. And therefore it's holding me back and preventing me from doing things. And so just being really mindful of what I take on.
Yeah, I love that perspective too of you don't know the reason sometimes that your path is crossing with somebody. And I think that that is a refreshing way to look at maybe some of the uncomfortable situations that we can end up in or the paths that we can cross that maybe don't feel good or there can be any range of emotions or experiences that come with that. And it can be easy to look at that from a victim standpoint, which is why is this happening to me? But having the awareness to assess that situation, assess your role in that, like, am I contributing this in any way? And if not, then okay, what's the meaning? What's the meaning of this, of me being here? What maybe I am playing a role in their necessary path that I don't know about and I don't have to know about. But
Right.
if you can take that perspective of, okay, there's a bigger picture here than what I know. It's a bigger picture than my reality. They also have their reality. And maybe I'm just a player. Maybe I'm just a chess player in their
Yeah,
reality.
absolutely. And then kind of going into law of attraction too. I know with law of attraction, people think about, attracting things into their life and that there are different ways of doing that. And so a lot of it has to do with your thoughts and energy. And some people are really good at just feeling good and bringing in more things that feel good, while others, if they know themselves better, know that it's important to focus on the exact thing that they want to bring into their life. So kind of looking back in your life and thinking about when things were going well, what were you doing and what you were focusing on? Because that success can be repeated again. So I know for me personally, I have to know what I want
Mhm.
and then release it and allow it to happen. While I have my mom, for example, who she's all about the feeling. And so she has to keep her vibration high and to feel good. And as long as she's feeling good, great things will come her way, but she doesn't have to know exactly what those things are. Um, so that's something that people may not say like they know which way that they would bring positive things in, but if you look back on past experiences, that shines light. onto how people bring in positive things.
And I think that there's, well, and I may be going into human design a little bit with this, but isn't there different like types, so to speak, that manifest in different ways?
Yes, there are people who are specific versus non-specific.
That's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
versus feelings and emotions.
Right. I don't know which I am. I've tried to decipher and I feel like I just confuse myself, but
I just remember one of my mentors talked about those three different kind of ways to manifest or for law of attraction. And I didn't understand it until I came across the human design component where
Yeah.
they talked about the different ways. So rather than getting into a specific method or modality, I like people to just look at what's worked for them in the past and kind of rinse and repeat.
And really what that is trusting yourself. Trust that you have the answers. Trust that your higher self has the answers, right? Your subconscious does. And trust that you don't have to understand how different modalities necessarily work, or you don't have to be able to explain it to believe it, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So trust that you can do it. You can follow the methods that have worked for you in the past because you've done it before, maybe without even knowing.
Yeah.
And so then you can put some intentionality behind it and start to produce those results on repeat. But I think it starts with trusting yourself. Trust that you have the ability, that you can, that you have, and that as you start acting with intention, you'll start to understand it more. You'll start to, you'll gain more clarity around it.
Yep. I was kind of thinking of an example just to kind of wrap the, kind of tie it off with a bow.
Yeah.
We're talking about leadership and, the whole leader. And so some of your audience may still be in a career where they're working for others and, other individuals may be their own boss, but you can look at opportunities, whether it's the next job opportunity or leadership opportunity, and think about what that looks like and whether you want to be super laser specific on, I want that next opportunity to do meditation at a certain center, or if you want an opportunity that gives you a certain vibration or feeling. So, kind of allowing people to define, is it that specific opportunity that you're wanting, or is it an opportunity that gives you that feeling that could be that one, or could it be even better than that?
I like that. So then, this might be something I edit out, but I'm just thinking while we talk.
Oh, you're fine.
I think that I'm non-specific then, because I focus more on the feeling. Like what if we're talking about human design, like I really like to focus on the feeling rather than a specific thing that I want, because that feels almost too much in a box.
Right. If you say exactly what you want, then you've boxed yourself into where you get more, right? And then for me, my sister and I talk about this a lot, and she says, all I have to do is make up my mind what I want and allow the universe to bring it. And so just keep doing me, and more like a magnet, right? Law of attraction, that if I know exactly what I want and I stay in a good place and I have belief that that or something, better will come my way, then that's how I am able to bring things in. Otherwise, if I force things, then I actually push things away. So that's kind of on the opposite spectrum to talk about, is that forcing forward is almost like the opposite of law of attraction. You're pushing things away because you want it so badly that you're not allowing it to come to you.
Yeah, you're disrupting the flow. You mentioned a little bit ago about self-talk, and I think this would be a very valid place to bring that in, because self-talk is a very important part of law of attraction and manifesting what you want. What are your thoughts on that, and what has your experience been in the area of self-talk?
Yeah, so I believe self-talk, like our words, we've heard of the word spelling in school. And so spelling is like what you're willing to create and what you put out there. And so, like words like am, anything that you put behind am is something you're taking on as ownership. And so I feel like, the whole I am sorry, for example. Well, we say that as a society so often. I am sorry for this. I am sorry for that. But no, like I am Erin. I am not sorry. So reframing those type of things like, oh, I regret to hear that happen, or, that's a bummer, those kind of things versus taking on something that we don't need to embody. And I also, through scientific research, know that the word not, our brain does not actually process the word not. So anytime we say, trying to think of a word,
I'm not good at that.
I'm not good. Yeah, I can't, yeah, I'm not good at that, or even I can't do that. Right.
Yeah.
Your mind thinks, okay, well, not good enough, so I won't be able to do that, or I'm not able to do that. And so my family and I play a game, we do a rephrase game. So when we catch ourselves using not, we try to rephrase that. So it's not that I can't do that or I'm not able to do that. It's as if today, or this is something I would like to learn to do. Right.
Yes.
It's not that you can't do it. It's just I haven't picked up those skills. And I know I just used not in that example too, but
Right.
this is a skill I'm working on, right? Or I'm working towards, or something I would like to acquire. Today I can do this instead of that. And so the words that we think, I think, create who we embody. And who we embody is who we carry with us wherever we go. And so I think that that's huge, because if we're not taking time to focus on what we bring to the table, I was actually telling a dear friend about this just the other day. I was challenging her to write down a list of all of her accomplishments, all the things that she's done in life, not to be braggadocious about herself, but to actually focus on what an amazing person she is and look at all the things that she's done because of who she is inside. And so, because I want her to bring that person to the table, not the person that she sits at home with and runs those thoughts of, I can't do that, this happened, yeah, there's just a lot of hurt feelings from hurt wounds in the past that have resurfaced. And I'm like, but that's not, I'm sorry, I'm using the word not, and I catch myself, but genuinely, that's not who she is when she comes to the table. So to release those emotions that from that situation and the energies that might be tagged along with that, and to embrace the things that she truly has done.
A former coach of mine that I worked with a few years ago, I actually just did a podcast episode with her that I released last week. Her name is Greta. And she is a emotion code, body code, belief code practitioner, Psych K, does a lot of work with her clients around energy healing and just releasing trapped emotions from past traumas and experiences. And a lot of the work that we did together involved self-talk. And one of the first things that stuck with me, and I still, think about it to this day, she had me stop using the word try. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying, because that's already a very limited, you're already limiting yourself. You're already creating that sense of failure, if you will. And so anytime we were in a session, if I said, I'm trying to create this, or I'm trying to do this, or, she's like, no, you're not trying, you're doing, and that even changes the sensation that you feel in your body when you say, I am creating this, I am doing this. It sounds much more definitive, and you feel a different empowered sensation rather than when I'm trying, you're leaving room for failure. You're leaving room for not achieving that.
My mentor described it as he would give a pen to an audience member and he would say, try to drop the pen. And the person would stand there and eventually drop the pen. And he said, no, you dropped the pen. I told you to try to drop the pen. Well, either you're holding the pen or you're dropping the pen. It's not trying to. So it's the exact same thing that you just said. Either you're doing it or you're not. You're not trying one way or the other. And so I thought that was really powerful as well.
That's a really good analogy because I think that makes it not so abstract. You can really see, no, like there's no gray area here. It is black or white.
Yeah, exactly.
But that also changes your mindset in general around whatever the situation is. So if it's, I'm just going to use business as an example. Um, if you are wanting, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're wanting, because we both are. So, and you're wanting to create a new program or a new offer or a new something. Um, when you can switch your mindset from, I haven't done it yet and I'm trying to do it, or it's something that is in the distant future, or it's something that I have not yet achieved. Really, that's coming from a place of limiting beliefs, I feel.
Absolutely.
And we're all going to feel imposter syndrome, but we don't have to create from it.
Right. Absolutely. That's where we talk about rephrase or reframe that, because yes, we all have those thoughts, but those don't have to be the thoughts we lead with.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so back when you were a school teacher, an elementary school teacher, did you practice all of this then? I'm curious how this played into your
I
life.
did.
Yeah.
I loved it because I did it with my students.
Mhm.
So we created diagrams of the brain on the floor, and we had them practice some of those word techniques to get from one side of the brain to the other to be able to show the kids how our brain fires and wires. So that was really neat. And I had Life's Daily Menu on the board, which is something I learned from another mentor, just setting kids up for every choice we make has a consequence or an outcome, whether it's positive or negative. And we get to choose those habits and routines that we create. And so we put, within the school day or even at home, trying to teach them positive habits, what's on the good side of the menu or what would be on the negative side of the menu. And so teaching them responsibility was huge.
More teachers need to be doing that. That's the kind of stuff our kids need to be learning in school.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
they need to be learning the power of choice, the power that they hold in their life, and the power to change their circumstances.
Mhm. For
Uh,
sure. It's something that they're told what they do wrong, not what they do right. And
mhm,
so, we focused on leadership within the classroom, and everybody had a leadership role. And we also had a jar where the kids got to correct me in the words that I used. So if they taught me or caught me saying not or can't, then they could put like a ball in the jar, because I was modeling to them how they can empower themselves with the words that they use. And so we started off with affirmations every day. And so, yeah, I mean, it starts at a young age, but then, your listeners, like, we all have all these years that we've already been programmed right now.
mhm,
So now we're trying to go through, our parents, most of them did the best that they could raising us, but we picked up on old habits and some of their, things that they brought into
mhm,
the world as well. And so just figuring out what belongs to us,
mhm.
what beliefs are ours, and what beliefs are our families, and things that serve us that we want to keep moving forward, and things that don't serve us, and how to figure out what's your truth.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I don't know, I think it was fun to be able to empower kids at a young age, to help them to kind of see that as best as I could.
So you mentioned something when we were talking before the session. You mentioned a story of a nail.
Yes, the story of the nail refers to, if we have, well, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tell the story first, and then I'll
Okay.
go ahead and retell the punchline, I guess. But so there was a man walking down the street who noticed his neighbor sitting out rocking on his old wooden porch with his dog laying on the porch next to him. So like they normally do, he came up and visited on the porch to see how everyone was doing. I noticed the dog was laying on the porch moaning and groaning. And the neighbor said, "Why is Bo whining? Like, what's going on?" And the guy was like, "Oh, he's just laying on a rusty nail that's poking in his side." And the neighbor's like, "Well, why doesn't he get up if it's bothering him?" And the owner said, "It's because it doesn't hurt that bad. It doesn't hurt bad enough for him to get up and move." And so my story of the nail and like analogy in life is we have all these things coming our way, and some are serving us and some aren't. But until that nail, whatever your nail is in your life, hurts bad enough, we're not going to be willing to change and get out of our comfort zone to make that change, because change sometimes means we have to step out of our comfort zone. Even if it's not serving us, it's what we're used to.
Yeah.
And so to me, I think that that's huge, because we all have routines and habits, and not everything is serving us in our highest and best good, but it's what we've known, whether it's hitting the alarm clock or, grabbing something quick to eat on the road, or going to bed at night and turning on the TV to numb out from just the chaos of the day, whether good or bad. It's just our unwind time. But is that really serving us or helping us to connect with ourselves?
And it's funny that we call it our comfort zone, because sometimes our comfort zone can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like it can be, the most uncomfortable place of struggle, of, deep fear, anger, bitterness, all of these things that we've carried with us for whatever reason. So it's not that we're happy. It's just
Right.
that growth is scary.
Yeah. We're doing something new, right? Kind of breaking, it's breaking that cycle. And that's what's scary. It's the unknown, because sometimes it's conversations we have to have with ourselves. Sometimes it's getting up earlier or doing something different. Sometimes it's conversations we have to have with others and setting boundaries. And that, unfortunately, sometimes people are more comfortable in a bad situation than actually bringing something to the surface.
Yeah, because they've gotten used to tiptoeing around it, or they know how to maneuver that situation. Even if it's not ideal or it's not serving them, they know how to avoid this person, or how to, approach them and not rock the boat. And now we're so afraid of disrupting something.
Right.
And sometimes a little disruption would be good.
Sometimes it's necessary.
It is.
Especially for things to change, right? Because
Yeah.
a quote I love is, if you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. And so sometimes we have to change those habits and the routines and what we do on a day-to-day basis in order to see change.
So what are some routines that you have in your daily life that are serving you?
So for me, it's in the morning before I hit the ground running, I take a few minutes to just ground myself. And so my biggest one, not that I go out and do a whole bunch of crazy things, I just try to do at least one simple thing. And for me, that's stretching and just starting the day off with like deep, slow breaths and just bracing myself, but also kind of thinking about the day and pre-paving the day. So I kind of think about, like, I'm big on intentions as well. That's something that's super important to me. And so kind of setting my intentions for the day is my number one, that I try to be really consistent with. I do believe in, self-care and doing the things that help you to feel good. So one of the things I started, even just in the last, I guess it's been like 3 months now, is just doing like a face routine. I've never been good about that, but when I do that, like it raises your energy. And again, how you present yourself to the world it's not what others think about you. It's about how you think about yourself, because when you're confident and you build success, you can build upon that. So that's huge for me. And then diet is something else that's really important for me. I know when I eat well, I feel well. And when I don't, that's something that I just feel more sluggish. And so not that that's necessarily a routine, but it's something that I consistently take note of.
Someone I was talking with, actually, a podcast recording that I released yesterday, with Irma Joyner. My listeners, if you haven't listened to that one yet, you need to go listen to it, because I loved the way that she talked about diet. So she shared her story. She's a professionally trained opera singer, and she does vocal coaching, and also does a lot of shadow work, helps people do shadow work and things, and getting in touch with their voice, finding their voice. And she shared a story of how she grew up eating an unhealthy diet, had, carried on that habit of eating unhealthy as an adult, and then how it began to affect her voice and how she was not able to reach the same notes that in singing that she was normally able to reach. But then she figured out what diet felt good for her and worked for her body. And so she's been transitioning to that. And, her voice has improved and her life and the way she feels and all of that has improved. But she said something that I loved the way she described this. She talked about food as energy, right?
Mhm.
And she said, I am at a higher frequency. So if I'm at a higher frequency, I need to be feeding my body food that is also at that higher frequency. I've loved the picture that she painted with that, because I think a lot of times we separate food from who we are as a business person, who we are as a parent, as a partner, just all the ways in life that we see ourselves as successful or that we are working towards being a success. And so we see ourselves as a success over here as this person, maybe in our career and our finances and our relationships, but then maybe we're eating like crap over here. And it's like, that's not going to even out. That's not going to balance out. So understanding that the fuel you're putting into your tank has to be good fuel or you're not going to run well. You're not going to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you hit on the fact that like everything we eat does have an energy, like a vibrational frequency behind it. And so you're right. If you're wanting to be, a top-notch leader, or I'll call it a powerhouse in whatever you do, then you need to fuel yourself with things that will give you that energy fuel versus weighing you down. That's big.
Yeah, it is. And it just goes to, that's the approach that you need to take with your health and wellness in general. So like how you get up in the morning, and stretching is an important component of your morning routine. Finding what that is it that you need to step outside and ground in barefoot for 5 minutes? Or is it that you need to sun gaze or my boyfriend goes out back every morning and does qigong as the sun's coming up, and he does sun gazing. Sometimes we'll just roll out the yoga mats and do yoga, some yoga stretches together or whatever. But what makes you feel alive? And because you're starting your day again with intention, you mentioned intentions earlier. Intention has a place in every moment of our day and every part of our day. But I think that we put a lot of intention behind our careers and the things that make up a lot of our day, but we don't necessarily put that same intention behind ourselves and behind what's making us show up as the best person, right?
Yep. Another thought I had with intention too is it's in some aspects, it's kind of like the center of law of attraction, because it's putting out to the universe what you want and expect to happen and allowing that to come in. So, but it's with more focus and more action than just the art of allowing, right? So the intention is creating that goal for your day, but also by putting it out there, you allow the universe to let it unfold as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What are some things that you do for your physical health right now that you've found to be maybe life-changing or really serving you in your physical health?
Well, I actually just stumbled on something recently that has truly been a game changer for me. So, in
Okay.
addition to diet, what?
I said, okay.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, in addition to diet, I've been healthy and really focused on diet back since like 2010, just changing my diet. But with that, I've also struggled with gut issues throughout all those years. And so constantly feeling gassy and bloated and just sluggish, we'll put it that way. And then as of recently, it had also gotten to the point where I was like gassy and belching. And I literally back in early fall was like, I'm just done with eating. I was like, I eat healthy anyways. And so I'm like, why am I still going through all of this? I'm just gonna, juice and move forward because that just makes me feel better. Well, my really good friend introduced me to stem cell patches, and they had helped her get off thyroid medication and helped her with an injured shoulder. And so I was like, I'll try anything because, at this point, I was very frustrated because again, I've been eating healthy for a decade. And within a couple of weeks, I noticed a huge transition in my gut, and I no longer feel bloated. I'm not struggling with the gas like I had been struggling with. And so learning the power of, all of our bodies have stem cells, right? We're born with stem cells, but throughout the years, our stem cells become dormant. And so by the time we're 30, half of our stem cells are dormant. And by the time we're 60, 90% of our stem cells are dormant. And what that means is we don't have the ability to go back and heal as quickly as we did when we were little. It's not that we don't have that ability, but it's slower. And our bodies, with the way our society is, we're overstressed, we overeat, we've got so much on our plates that our bodies struggle to heal. And so I've just found that by using these stem cell patches, it reactivates it turns on the copper peptides in your body and it reactivates your stem cells using phototherapy. So
Okay.
that is something I'm super excited about just because as of the last 2 months, I've had huge wins with it.
How, okay, so many questions. So first of all, what have you seen change with your gut health? Like, what's your experience with gut health now and food? Like, are you able to eat food like regularly?
Yeah, so what was really exciting is about 2 weeks after I started the patches, which was during the crazy hurricane storm, right? When we had the two back to back, we decided to leave town for the second one because at one point it was a category 5 and it was coming this way. And my family's a big Tennessee football family. So we decided, let's just go to Tennessee for the weekend, get out of town. That way we don't have to mess with the storm. We were going to go to a game anyway, so let's just double dip. Well, after the trip, I told my mom, I was like, did you notice I ate anything I wanted on the trip? And you probably didn't hear me complain at all about what I ate. And she was like, no, I didn't. I was like, it's the stem cell patches. So my pants fit me better. It's not that I've lost weight, but I'm not bloated. So my stomach is flat. I had gotten to the point, I'm TMI, but where I would do stretches at night, not morning, but at night just to release gas because I was so bloated. So absolutely miserable to where now I don't have to do that. And now the only thing that really has bothered me is my body doesn't really like corn, but corn's not good for you anyways. So I had a little bit at Thanksgiving. I was like, we're just not going to deal with that. But other than that, I've been great. So that's been huge. And then on top of that, I've had ankle pain, discomfort that went away. And now my hair it's curled today, but normally when it's straight, it's so soft and my nails are so shiny. So I've noticed additional benefits that were just added bonuses too.
So you were already eating a healthy diet prior to.
Yeah, no gluten, very little dairy,
Okay.
no soy.
I feel like I'm going to have some listeners who listen to this and they maybe haven't cleaned up their diet yet, haven't changed their lifestyle.
Understood.
Let's talk about that real quick. Like, is this a quick fix for somebody that hasn't made the diet and lifestyle changes, or does this need to go along in conjunction with diet and lifestyle changes? What are your thoughts on that? Like, does one need to come before the other? Can they happen together?
I think it's good for them to happen together. I know people, because I kind of dove in fast on research on this because once I started experiencing it, like the benefits, I started patching on my family and listening to a whole bunch of testimonies. So I know people see results as, no matter where they are in their life, whether they're 82 years old or they're putting it on their baby. But I think if you're going to do something where you're reactivating your stem cells and your diet may not be the best, then to make small changes that would serve you in your lifestyle. So not to change everything all at once, but, you know, a simple one is if you know you drank a lot of sodas, you know, whether it's diet soda or, you know, you're eating a whole bunch of processed food, making one decision and changing it along the way. Because what we talked about with food having a vibration is when you make those shifts, your energy is only going to raise. And what's going to happen is you're not going to want and desire some of those foods that you were once on. So then naturally you're going to want to take it one step closer. And it's not an overnight thing as far as changes, because that's going to set yourself up for failure, but it's just naturally you're going to make those shifts. For me, back in 2007, I literally woke up one day. I remember I was sitting at a stop sign outside my neighborhood and I was like, I'm done with sodas, just randomly. I was like, I no longer have a desire to drink a soda. And so I made that decision that I was not going to drink sodas anymore, and I haven't. And so I feel like as you're making small changes, you're just naturally going to have that like instinctive gut decision that you're not going to feel like you're giving something up, because you're just stepping into that newer, healthier version of you. It's just going to fall into place.
Mm-hmm. I like the way you explain that, so that, you know, the importance of both, like, do the stem cell patches if that speaks to you.
Yep.
In conjunction with other changes that are going to help to raise your vibration and help you step into the person, the identity that you are taking on. Because I see something like the stem cell patches, any of those things that we add into our life, those are also higher frequency activities, if you will. So just like food has a vibration, so does anything that we engage in, whether it's taking action in our health and wellness in some way, like the patches, or like exercise, or, you know, working with certain practitioners like acupuncturists. All these things are higher vibration activities. And so choosing individually what feels good for you, what feels authentic for you, and it makes you feel that higher vibration.
Yeah, it has to fill you up and not deplete you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to do things that seem overwhelming and weigh you down. You want to do things that you naturally embrace.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What are some final words that you would leave with our listeners, just in regards to anything that we've talked about today?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's, you know, embracing who you are and your, like, what you have to offer to the world. We all are here for a purpose, and we're all filled with passions. And so really following those, because that's like your inner gut, your inner person sharing that that's what's important to you. And then don't let the outside world tell you otherwise. I'm the person who started my career because I was told I had to go to college. I had to find a career of sorts. So I loved kids because I babysat since I was young. So becoming a teacher was a natural thing. And I was a teacher who adored teaching all throughout my career, but it was limited, right? I could work 60, 70 hours a week on doing lesson plans and grading papers, but I wasn't going anywhere. And I also felt like I had more to share, as I always called, beyond the four walls of my classroom. And so for years, I felt that discomfort of staying in my comfort zone, even though it wasn't comfortable. And so I slowly stair-stepped my way out, you know, by leaving education and then stepping out and becoming my own, you know, business owner and that sort of thing. But, you know, you have friends and family that share their own thoughts, opinions, and doubts, and then you let those doubts, you have to decide how you're going to handle those doubts, right? And to not let those creep in, but make decisions for you and not for others. And so whatever path you're on in life, you know, do what serves you and embrace what fills you up.
Yeah, I love that. I saw a quote just yesterday. I use the Insight Timer app a lot, which is like, it's guided meditations, it's courses, it's, you know, certain music, different things. I listen to it daily. I listen to it every night I do a guided meditation, like a sleep meditation, and then I listen to it through the morning. But when you open up the app, it always shows a quote that shows up. It appears on the screen and then it goes away. And yesterday that quote was, and it made me think about it when you were talking about, distancing yourself from any of the negative, commentary or opinions when you're making changes that feel right for you. It said something like, when others are saying you won't go far, go so far that you can't hear them anymore.
Yes, I love that. That's so true.
Yeah.
We
So,
often let other people's opinions dictate the choices that we make and what we do and we don't do. And at the end of the day, you answer to yourself, not to them.
yeah. Well said. Thank you so much for this conversation. I feel so inspired and encouraged, and I know my listeners will too. So thanks for sharing your energy.
Thank you for having me.